Hi everyone, and welcome to Worth the Calories. I'm Matthew.
And I'm Catherine.
A Great British Bake Off podcast. Which I sometimes forget to say.
But it is what it is.
Hopefully everyone knows at this
Yeah.
stage. Hopefully they're here. Bread week.
Bread week.
As is traditional, we're now into breads.
Yep.
Inverted commas. Breads. In the same way macarons were inverted commas. Biscuits.
This was... Like, where was the loaf?
Mm.
I normally expect to see at least one good loaf.
I mean, the showstopper was effectively a loaf.
True.
With other stuff going on. But we're, as we've said in other things, like the challenges are now beyond baked bread well.
True.
So...
True.
Let's get into it. Challenge one was pizzas.
Do you like pizza?
In fact, it was just two pizzas.
Two pizzas.
Two pizzas. Which,
Make two pizzas.
yes, is a dough, which is a bread.
We are stretching it. And also, I really felt... And maybe I wasn't watching it closely enough, but I felt that they were being judged more on their toppings than they were on their pizza base.
Yes, yeah. And maybe that's because the pizza bases came out fine.
Yeah, possibly.
So, you made pizzas this week.
I did.
So let's talk a bit about the pizzas you made, and then let's talk about the baking of pizzas, because they're almost two separate things.
Yes, that's true.
You made pizzas. They were lovely.
I did? Oh, I'm glad. Yay. And I must say, I don't know why I've not done this more before, because it was quite straightforward. Although, I don't think it went as well as it could have done. So once again, there were no recipes, or at least the last time I looked, there were no recipes on the Bake Off website. So once again, I turned to BBC's Good Food website, and there was what seemed like a very straightforward pizza recipe on there. Made a dough, just some yeast, some plain like strong bread flour. I used the dough hook on the KitchenAid. It was all very straightforward.
Nice.
The dough didn't seem to rise very much, but I didn't stress about it too much because the recipe said the dough will rise in the oven.
Okay.
Fine.
Okay.
Rolled out the dough. Just had a tomato sauce, which was literally just passata, crushed garlic and basil. No even cooking of it. You just mix it all together. Tasted all right.
It was lovely.
And then I put some nice toppings on.
Yeah.
Baked it. It was, and that was it. What I would say is the dough did not rise in the oven. I think our yeast is dead.
Yes, I will agree with that when we come to talk about pan au raisin.
Yeah. So it was really straightforward. I'd like to try it again with yeast that actually does the yeast thing.
Okay.
I'd also might like to try some different dough recipes because whilst I'm not... I don't think I've got it in me to care about a sourdough starter, so I know that sourdough is a thing that lots of people love, and I quite enjoy eating it. There's
I'm
no
not
place.
convinced of it for pizza. Yeah.
There's also no place in my life for trying to keep a starter alive.
Absolutely.
It just wouldn't happen. So yeah, it was good. It was really straightforward. If anyone listening has never made their own pizza dough, I would say crack on, give it a go. It's really easy. But equally, if anyone has a really good pizza dough recipe that they'd like to share with me, I'm all ears, or all eyes, I guess.
So let's talk about baking of pizzas.
Yeah.
Because we had an email.
We did.
Hi, I love the show. Pizza dough question. I was surprised in this episode that no one pre-baked their pizza dough before adding the sauce cheese toppings. I make pizza all the time, and the only way I can get a really good crust, well cooked underneath, is to bake the rolled out dough for 5 to 7 minutes first, then I take it out and put everything on it. Also, all my recipes suggest doing that. I don't really make thick dough, so I am confused. What are your thoughts? Thanks. Person in place. Who hasn't put whether we can say the name or the place, so I'm not going to. Thank you, person in place.
Excellent. I thought this was really interesting, and if I'd had more time before dinner last night, I was planning to bake one of the bases and put the things on top and then not bake the other ones first. But I didn't. But I might experiment with this in the future. I always expect to bake it from dough. I don't expect to pre-bake the pizza, but I can see how that might work well.
I don't think I've ever done... I have made my own pizzas in the past.
Yes.
And I don't think I've ever done this. I initially, when reading the email, and thank you, person, I initially thought, is this the difference between American and European in some ways? Because I feel like we make thinner pizzas.
Yeah,
Certainly when I think of such as the Chicagoan pizzas that we had.
they were mammoth.
Which we have opinions on, and I
Yes.
know that Chicago pizza people might not share our opinions, so we won't get into them. But I feel like certainly when we think of Italian pizza,
Yes.
significantly thinner, so it doesn't necessarily need that baking. But at the same time, par baking, blind baking of something first is an established thing to stop it being too soggy underneath. So that's I get that thing. And there was a comment in the email of, I don't really make thick dough. So I'm interested to try it to see what the difference is.
Yes.
Does it make it more like a pie type thing with a firmer base underneath? And is it just what we're used to? I also wonder, and they didn't talk about using this in the show, but I also wonder if they use pizza stones.
Oh,
Which
okay.
you get incredibly hot, and
Yes.
you either put it on or underneath the pizza. No, not on. That sounds like the stone's on the pizza. It's
Yeah,
the wrong way around.
no.
You either put the pizza on the stone or on the shelf above the stone, so it gets a huge amount of heat coming up from the bottom.
Right.
I wonder if they used them. They didn't mention it, but
But maybe they did.
that is the sort of, again, the established way, and I feel like
Yeah.
something we expect over here more.
Because it was a very hot oven. Although I think I could possibly have gone even hotter, because I went to 200. I followed the recipe. It said fan 220 degrees centigrade.
Could have gone.
Probably I
pushed it.
could have gone up to that, because I think our oven's max is 240.
Okay.
But
I did a little bit of research.
yeah.
It largely says that you don't have to pre-bake. You can pre-bake. There's not a huge amount of difference.
Okay.
So, again, I don't know if it's just tradition in different areas and
Yes.
different countries. I don't think it makes a huge amount of difference. And at the same time, I would ask back to the question asker, next time you do this, try not pre-baking it. And, let's do a comparison. We'll try it next time we bake. And I will be
Yeah.
interested to see what that scientific experiment comes out with.
Nice. So, Matthew,
Good question, though.
it is a good question. My question to you is, what's
Okay.
your favourite pizza topping? And did it feature at all in any of the ones that were made, or did any of the ones that they made in the show particularly appeal to you?
I have a very sweet tooth, so I go for things like sweet corn and pineapple. I do like them on a pizza. And this is my concern with making pizzas too often, is I feel like I would min-max my pizza toppings.
Right.
What are the perfect pizza toppings? Which is probably sweet corn, sausage or beef, and maybe some pineapple. Might not all go together, but
Don't
the
care.
flavours I like. So
Fair
fine.
enough.
Some featured. I feel like people didn't really push it out in any particular direction. Were there any that stood out to you as being particularly good?
So I was intrigued by it's Carol, isn't it, with the pink hair?
Yep.
I was intrigued by all of the cheese that she was putting on top of hers, because cheese.
Yeah.
But it might even have been a little bit too much cheese for me. But it did look tasty.
I remember I had a quattro formaggio when we were in Sicily
Yes.
that ended up like that as well. It was like, no, this is too much cheese.
Yeah, because you do get to the point where it's like, actually, I feel a bit unwell now.
Yeah.
And what was the other one? Sandro's sweet and spicy pizza.
Yeah.
I'd have quite happily eaten that. Shabira's Malaysian prawn sambal pizza. I'm a bit funny about prawn on pizza,
Okay.
which is odd, because I have in the
Seafood's your
past
thing.
loved
Yeah.
a seafood pizza. It's just something I'm a little cautious about
Okay.
with prawns. Don't know.
No, yeah, they all sounded very nice
Yeah.
enough to eat, but I don't think there was one that particularly stood out. And I think in the judging that was kind of the same.
Yes.
I think everyone did pretty okay.
Yeah. I don't think anyone had a disaster.
No, Carol's the closest just by putting too much cheese on it.
Yes.
So that's a baking decision, but...
Yeah, I mean, but that was a decision to put that much cheese on it,
Yes.
right?
And I get what she's saying about, who doesn't want more cheese and everyone in my house likes more of something, but this show isn't going for, feeding a family of a thing this is going for making genuinely very, very good quality stuff.
Yes, agree.
Which sometimes you do need to pull back from the excess, as we will find with some of the things later.
Absolutely.
Okay. They then had to make pan au raisin.
Pan au raisin.
Pan au raisin. So I made pan au mixed fruit because we had mixed fruit left over, and frankly, it doesn't matter. As you said, I think our yeast is deactivated, aged
I think the packet's been open for the longer
Yeah,
than
I
the
don't
2
think it's
months that they say. So
I feel like moisture might have gone into our corn flour as well because the creme patisserie that goes in the middle
yeah,
did not set in the way it should. So I think we need to replace the corn flour and the yeast and see what happens. I was feeling really good about making these
yeah,
up until the point of the cream pat because it didn't set.
yeah.
The recipe seemed it said do the creme pat and then let it set on the second chill, the third rolling out effectively. I would have done it much sooner to give the creme patisserie time to do its thing. And then it also has you rolling out the dough, doing a book fold with it, and it's a book fold to get the lamination in there. So you roll it out, you do the book fold, and then it wanted you to roll that out to square.
Okay.
And I feel like there should be a chilling step in that point as well. So I had the problem that I think James might have had as well, that when I tried rolling it up, the creme pat was a little bit too thin, so it was slopping out a bit much and made everything a bit wet. So it didn't particularly rise as well as I wanted. And then when I've baked it, I feel like they were a bit bland. Except for the raisins, and they are, mixed fruit in orange zest and cinnamon, have a good flavour to them.
Yes, that was lovely.
But they've all sort of set in the same bit because I couldn't roll it as tight because it was wetter, so it came looser.
Yeah.
The actual dough doesn't feel like it has much flavour to it. It's just...
You did get lots of layers.
I did. And I'm pleased with that. This was one of the reasons I was feeling good about it, because the rolling out for the first time actually went pretty well.
Yes.
I found rolling out the butter not so easy.
Yeah.
I need to practice that more. But then once I got the butter on it and started doing those folds, because you then get it into a rectangle, you can then roll it out into another rectangle quite easily. So I got into that process pretty well. That was pretty good. To the extent there was a bit where there were clearly a couple of bubbles from where I'd folded it and wrapped things in, and the bubbles weren't bursting.
Right.
The pastry was holding. So I'm saying pastry because it doesn't feel like bread.
It feels more like pastry than bread.
Like bread. It is bread because it is an enriched dough. But because you then go through this folding process to get lamination, it feels more like a pastry.
I guess there's a reason that like pain au raisin and croissants and stuff like that are called breakfast pastries.
Yeah.
Because they sit in that halfway house.
That thing. So I feel like I'd like to try it again. I might look for other recipes because... It was going okay, and then it all sort of didn't come together as well as I would have liked it to.
And I think we should get an absolutely fresh pack of yeast so that that's not even a question mark. But they're still tasty.
I also wonder if something like a pan au chocolat, first of all, where you're enclosing it, but where you just have the sort of spreadable bits of chocolate or the Nutella or whatever you're using ready.
Yes.
So it's not make your creme pat and hope that goes as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you.
You persevered.
I did. That was a little bit mammoth because it had all these steps, so although it looked like it was very easy, there was lots of hurrying up to wait.
Yeah. I do not know how they managed in the time that they got for it on the show.
Yeah, I think it's just doing everything at once, and I wonder if they had one less step of folding.
Possibly, yeah.
I would imagine they just did that the once and then got them in, because they had quite a harsh time on this.
It was like 2 hours, wasn't it?
I think everyone did okay. Mm-hmm. Carol again came bottom on this.
Yep.
And I'm now struggling to remember why.
I also can't remember why.
I think it just didn't. Something probably in the folding didn't happen, and then I think James it didn't. Was it James? In Kevin it didn't. He then came second bottom, because I think he had the same problem as I did, maybe, with the very thin creme pat that ran out of it.
But a challenging technical.
Yes, quite a good one.
Yes.
Just it didn't feel like it fit the week as well. And especially compared to all the different things you can do with bread. When I look back and they've done eclairs and donuts and interesting things, this felt like this doesn't. It's
more like pastry.
Match.
Yeah.
Fine. And now our showstopper, Smorgastarter.
I was going to look some of these up in the wild, and I didn't do it because I'm just a little bit baffled by the whole concept.
They absolutely look like what these people were making.
Oh, really?
Yeah, overly decorated. It looked like a cake, but you slice it and you've effectively got a sandwich on your plate.
I just don't understand why. I think for me, the concept of eating a sandwich is so much linked to eating it with your hands
Right.
that the idea of spreading sticky stuff all around the outside of your big sandwich so that you can't nicely eat it with your hands is just baffling to me. But maybe I need to think of it as just like a layered bread item that one eats with a knife and fork.
Yeah, a savoury cake.
A savoury cake, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, and because they look so decorated.
Yes.
It's a really unusual thing, but I can kind of see it in the idea that it's a centerpiece, rather than having here's all the quarter cut sandwiches that you get at a corporate, long day meeting or something. Here's a cake that you slice up and you get a thing. Like, I can see the place for it.
Yes.
I can also see why it's never caught on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And everyone goes, yeah, but no.
Yeah, I don't feel super inclined to try one.
No. Well, I kind of am, and I do wonder stroke hope that this might inspire people to do them in the UK. I could see me doing an all-day team training type thing. And for lunch, we get one of these and some snacky stuff delivered.
Yeah.
Like,
maybe.
It would stand out. It would be memorable,
What flavours do you think you'd go for?
I think there were a few in there that I quite liked the idea of. I mean, the fish and chips was a bit strange, but he clearly did very, very well. The one that was fish through was a good idea. Mm-hmm. I liked Sandra's because I like a barbecue flavour and all the meats and so on. I wonder if I was doing this as a challenge, over-engineer it in the way I think a couple of them did, and do the top is a chicken sandwich and the bottom is a meat sandwich. The bottom is a burger, the top is a chicken satay. Or, like a breaded chicken thing that I quite like anyway.
Yeah.
And you've effectively got two sandwiches in here. That's the way I think I would probably end up going with it.
Yeah.
Because then again, you can do the outside actually has elements of relish or a mayo or a combination of the both, and you could do some interesting things. I definitely wouldn't style it like they're all styled. Because they're all so much, we spread mayo all over the outside and so on. Yeah, it just feels too much.
Yeah. I was just like, I don't know what it is about having the savoury, because it doesn't bother me. Buttercream spread over a cake doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
But there was just something about the idea of the savoury spread around the I could just feel my fingers feeling sticky. There's just something really bothered me about it. I was just like, no, not for me. I don't know.
If you were having to make one, what would you make?
Golly. I was really thinking about this because it's got to have three different ideally three different flavours in it. But the question is, how do you? Because potentially you're going to have a mouthful which has all of the flavours in it there together.
So I don't think so. That's the point of it being layered. You've got bread, then a layer, bread, then a layer, and then bread, and then some sort of flavour on the outside. Or is the bread allowed to count as a flavour?
I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
So I was trying to think of sort of complementary flavours, and I think I would actually aim to maybe go something along the lines of a sort of stylised buffalo mozzarella, tomato, and avocado type mix, and maybe like sort of some really nice buffalo mozzarella with a bit of balsamic glaze in there, maybe something which is sort of a layer with a bit of a guacamole type effect. And maybe something which is a bit like some of them roasted tomatoes and have like a slightly tangy tomato layer. So altogether it's sort of a deconstructed caprese plus avocado salad
nice.
within it. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's a nice way of going at it.
And then I'd contemplate spreading some guck around the outside. I don't know. It just bothers me. I don't know why.
Like I say, I feel like the outside should be more akin to relish, onion chutney type thing than... Yeah, it's covered in mayo, or it's covered in, something like that.
And I think it's because, I'm thinking of it from the taste and the eatability, but actually I guess they're big celebration events, so actually the look of it in its entirety is probably one of the prime purposes of it, hence the spread.
So that's also the point of sort of naked or naked effect cakes, is to have less icing, because there are people for whom the icing is too much, whether it's icing or buttercream, and... You could make that argument here very strongly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any of the ones that stood out to you? Any that we want to talk about?
I enjoyed Carol's retro cake. It really did look like something from the 70s.
I think it was the dots of the sort of pinky purple piping.
Yes.
That really did that thing. It's like the old McVitie's, Christmas tins and stuff.
Absolutely. And who did the one with the char siu pork?
Was it James with the pandas?
Yes. I enjoyed, so char siu pork. Love it. Mm-hmm. So I'd have actually wanted that. I might even have actually wanted to eat that one.
Nice.
And I love the little pandas. I kind of want to make little panda rolls myself. But then, how could you eat them? Pull their little heads off?
Yeah.
More pandas.
Heads downwards. Yeah.
How about you? Was there any other ones that you?
It was a shame again about Sandro's. That the flavours didn't quite come through.
Yes.
But it did look very good and included his bread well. But I think Maxie's. Because she went for a different look with it, the look came off very well.
Yes.
And she did interesting things with seafood on it, I think. Because it stood out as something a bit different. Yeah. I wouldn't want one that was... I know no one did this, but when you think of a sandwich, I wouldn't want one that was beef and horseradish and ham and cheese. When you slice in, it has to be something interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I would be more inclined to try it if I went, oh, that's a bit different. Let's give that a go. So,
nice. Yeah, hers was very good.
Janusz took it all, though. Let's talk Janusz. I think he absolutely won every round in this.
Yeah, and do you know what? He's so lovely.
He is a very nice chap.
He can come and stay and bake for us. I'm in the Janusz fan club.
I think he came across as very confident in his abilities here.
Yes.
So I wonder if having had early success has sort of spurred him on of, I can do this. I can get something out of this.
But not arrogant.
No, not yet. No, he doesn't come across as ambitious and, I'm going to be the one to win, and I wouldn't help someone if I thought they needed help.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see, because, again, you sort of hope he might have some struggle at some point and learn how to deal with difficulties in the tent. No Rebs and Abdul.
So I think what they said at the start, that they were ill?
Yeah. So both ill, both couldn't make it. So this was filming over the summer?
Yes, midsummer.
So it could be anything.
Could be anything, absolutely.
Do you think it was right for no one to go home?
I think it would have been wrong for them not to have to compete and still stay in.
Right. Okay.
So yes, I do. I think that's I think they need to pull it together next week. I think if for example Rebs is at the bottom and one of those that have done both weeks is at the bottom.
Yep.
I think there needs to be a real reason to keep Rebs in, because that would be unfair otherwise.
Yeah.
But yes, no, I think it was right.
Yeah. Okay.
And no one did so dreadfully that you wanted to just cut them. Yeah.
I wonder if that helped their editing a bit, because I did find this was edited a bit like a music video at times.
Yeah.
There's lots of very quick cutting between things. So obviously having fewer bakers slightly earlier than they might have expected would have helped them. And means they don't have to fit in a narrative of here's why this person is going.
Yes, absolutely.
I will be interested to see, because I think there's one or two who we might end up considering, yes, they got an extra week out of this.
Right.
Rather than...
Fair enough.
It allowed them to stay in and go on to stronger things. I feel like when we've had this before, that's been the sort of outcome of it.
Yeah. I think I'm just of the opinion that Rebs would probably have been the next to go anyway. So, so if anything, she's gotten a different week out of it rather than an extra week out of it.
Yeah, that's fair.
But maybe I'm just making assumptions, and maybe she's just going to turn it all around.
Yeah, because again, we have seen bakers who struggle early on, and then it clicks, and they figure out how to deal with it all. And,
absolutely.
We'll see what comes with them.
So what is next week?
Next week is Mexican week. Which I'm very much looking forward to.
We do like Mexican food.
Yeah, they said a meaty technical.
Okay,
so could be anything interesting. We do like Mexican very much, so I'm looking forward to making something there. Bread week was fine. Yeah, not the most memorable of weeks, but again, not a bad one. I'm interested to have a look at other recipes for pan au raisin, pan au mixed fruit, and see if there is a different way of doing them.
Yep.
Because like I said, up until one point, I was feeling good about this, so...
That would be a nice thing for you to make for me.
Well, but the idea of making them on a weekend and having enough to see her through a week
Yes.
to have them as breakfasts.
Yeah,
It's a great
absolutely.
shout.
Yeah. I will genuinely be giving the pizza another go and trying different recipes and also seeing if the dough can be frozen because it seems like something that it might be possible to make larger batches and then have it ready in pizza-sized lumps for a quick, because it felt healthier than getting the pizza from Domino's.
It did, yeah. Oh,
So-
significantly healthier than Domino's, that's for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we like pizza, and it's not too. It doesn't take too long to cook once you've got all the dough and
absolutely.
stuff ready. So it might be
Let's
a way of
investigate.
having quick but not horrendously unhealthy pizza on a weekday night for us.
And so we will also try with the pre-baking of pizzas. I'm
Yeah.
interested to see, because I've not really heard about it. So
Yeah.
and see if we've got something we could use as a pizza stone as well.
Yeah.
See what difference
We
that
had a
make.
pizza stone, didn't we? Or did we get rid of
I
it?
think we might have thrown it away.
Ah,
we
fair enough.
had it for that year. We had to do the pizzas.
Yes.
Thank you very much for the question. If you have any questions, if you have any thoughts as either our episodes come out or particularly as the Bake Off episodes come out, do get in touch. There's all sorts of contact details on your episode description, so feel free to pause and go and look at it now. You can email podcast@eloquentgushing.com. We're all over social media @eloquentgushing, and you can even leave a voice message, as we had last week, speakpipe.com/eloquentgushing. Thank you, person and place, who sent the message through. If you're okay with us saying your name, do feel free to put down what we can call you, and that you're okay with it, because
We'd rather be more cautious than less cautious.
I don't think there's anything bad about having listened to a Bake Off podcast, but just data integrity and protection, and these are important things.
Absolutely.
Yes. We'll see you next week for Mexican Week.
Bye-bye.